speak of a one-parameter family of K3 surfaces and the monodromy criterion for good reduction of our periodic field.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to give a talk here. So I'm going to talk about the interplay between geometry and the cohomology or variety. And then, in particular, I would like to present a result which is a generalization or a version of the Kulikov classification theorem for K3 surfaces, but over a p-adic field, for K3 surfaces over a p-adic field. So, well, it is well known that the geometry determines the cohomology of an algebraic variety. In general, we are trying to give invariance to the geometric object in order to understand how is the geometry of the variety. But always, or almost always, when we have a geometric property, I can say something about the algebraic side. But in very special cases, we only can, when we know the cohomology, for instance, we can say something about the geometry. And this is more or less what I want to say. So for example, if X is a proper smooth algebraic geometry, we have the Betti cohomology, and we know we can say something about the Betti cohomology. We say that it's a pure Hodge structure and with determined weights, right? But it is not true that if I have a pure Hodge structure with determined weights, we recover the algebraic variety. But in certain cases, we can do that. When we have an abelian variety, we have the Hodge structure, but also we have these periods. And it turns out that the abelian variety is completely determined by the periods, right? So we have this theorem type, saying that if A and A prime are two polarized abelian varieties, so that its cohomology are isomorphic as Hodge structures, then in fact the abelian varieties are isomorphic. So this is one example in which the cohomology also tells me something about the geometry of the variety. So it classifies perfectly. So I want to give a result for K3 surfaces in arithmetic settings. So this is what we have. So let's consider xk a proper smooth algebraic variety over a p-adic field. So K will be a finite extension of QP for me. So this is a p-adic field, and I'm going to introduce some notation. So I have the ring of integers of K. Okay, this is the ring of integers, and I have a maximal idea. Let's say here I have only the unique maximal ideal, and the quotient is the residue field that we'll denote by K like that. And the residue fields of characteristic P. Okay. This is the situation. And then I can consider the absolute Galois group. And this is what I have in the geometric side. In the cohomology side, what we have now is not the Betti cohomology, but I have the étale cohomology. And this is interesting because the étale cohomology. Sorry? The absolute, this is the absolute Galois group. For the absolute, this bar is here. So it is the absolute Galois group. It's the closure, the algebraic closure. I don't know, it's a problem of my latex. This is here. So then I have the étale cohomology, and the étale cohomology comes with a continuous action of the absolute Galois group. So this is a p-adic representation. And then the type of this p-adic representation turns out to be determined by the geometry of certain models of my variety. Okay, so the type of the geometry is something important. For instance, we have the crystalline theorem. So we have a proper smooth model of my algebraic variety like that. So this is the generic fiber, and this is the special fiber. This is a proper smooth. What can we say about the cohomology? Well, we say that the cohomology has this relation. The étale cohomology and the crystalline cohomology. This is the étale cohomology of the generic fiber, and the crystalline cohomology of the special fiber. This is in characteristic P, but this is characteristic characteristic 0, they are almost isomorphic up to extending a scalar to these rings, Fontaine rings, which is called these big rings. Then we have this isomorphism. And moreover, we have this Tato theorem, this Berthelot-August theorem, saying that the crystalline cohomology, once we tensor with the field K, becomes the Durand cohomology of the generic fiber. So we have this isomorphism. So this is relating. When we have my geometric situation, we have a relation between the cohomology of the special fiber and the cohomology of the generic fiber. So that's related.
So is that K the fraction field of W or the same K?
Which one?
The theorem.
This is the big K. So this is the generic fiber, and this is the small K, which is the field, the Rogelio field. Okay.
What about that K?
This K here. The Durand cohomology of the in fact I have here. Okay, this is the right. This is the generic fiber, and this is the special fiber over the big vectors of the special fiber. This is I'm going to say something about the good reduction theorem. So we have the semi-stable theorem also. So when we have a semi-stable model, that means that we have the generic fiber as before, but the special fiber is locally a divisor with normal crossings. So we have this situation. So this is the geometric situation. So what we have in the cohomology situation, we have this. So we can endow the special fiber with a natural logarithmic structure. This is the logarithmic structures studied by Fontaine, Lucy, and Cato, and others. So we can endow this with a logarithmic structure, and then we have the following theory, that the étale cohomology is again isomorphic. The étale cohomology of the generic fiber is isomorphic to the log crystalline cohomology of the special fiber. In these cases, we have singularities, we have to consider log crystalline cohomology, not crystalline cohomology. Now, tensoring and extending a scalar with one Fontaine ring, which is called B semi-stable. And then we have this isomorphism. And then we have an analogous theorem also, due to Cato and Ido, saying that the log crystalline cohomology is again like a lattice, a W lattice. So we have this isomorphism, okay? So this is the semi-stable case. Sorry. Okay. Now we have this theorem of Tsuji, Nisol, and Faltins. I hope this is well. Yeah. So saying that if xk is a proper smooth variety and we have a semi-stable model of this variety, then it has full reduction. Then if it has full reduction, which means that the special fiber is smooth, basically. So then the étale cohomology is a crystalline representation, a periodic crystalline representation. So then we wonder if the converse is true. In other words, if we have a crystalline representation coming from geometry, can we deduce that the special fiber is smooth? In other words, that we have good reduction? So this is the principal question. So it turns out that we have an example for abelian varieties. This is a theorem of Jovita, Coleman, and Rogelio, saying exactly this converse theorem. So if A is an abelian variety with semi-stable proper model, then A has good reduction if and only if the étale cohomology is a crystalline periodic representation. So this is a theorem of Jovita. So do we know more examples? Well, and then we have this theorem. So A has semi-stable reduction if and only if the étale cohomology is semi-stable periodic representation. So I haven't said what is crystalline representation or semi-stable representation. These are properties that I'm going to mention in a second, but what I want is you to get the feeling. Just don't forget this is the motivation, the feeling of the result. So we are studying some geometric property, and and then we have the cohomology, and then we are saying something about the geometry and the cohomology. In these cases, we are recovering important information of the geometry via the cohomology, or properties of the cohomology, in this case, representations. So exactly, we have more examples in which we can say something about the geometry using this cohomology. So this is, then we start with what will be my work. This is K3 surfaces. K3 surfaces turns out to be a special kind of algebraic varieties or varieties that also have very nice properties that in fact we can think of, for example, elliptic curves. Generalization of elliptic curves is abelian varieties, but elliptic curves are Calabi-Yau manifolds. So the next dimension of a Calabi-Yau manifold is K3 surfaces. So K3 surfaces are also generalization of elliptic curves, and they are very nice surfaces in certain sense, and very interesting. They have very interesting properties. So K3 surface over the complex numbers is a surface with first Betti number equal to 0 and irregular and a trivial canonical divisor. So for example, Kummer surfaces are K3 surfaces, right? So we have, for K3 surfaces, we have this Torelli theorem, Torelli theorem that also says that if X and X prime are isomorphic, if and only if there is a Hodge isometry between the cohomologies. So this is analogous results for K3 surfaces. So we think, can we say something also in the arithmetic case about K3 surfaces? Okay, so let me present the Kulikov-Person-Pichman theorem. This is the one that I want to stay in arithmetic settings. It says that if I have a good degeneration of K3 surfaces over the open unit complex disk, then the central fiber is one of the following. I'm going to show you. This is maybe not related, but this is like a degeneration. Not of K3 surfaces, but I found this picture and I said I like it. So we can understand it. So, okay, we have the complex disk, we have the type 1, the special fiber, the central fiber. So we are in this equation. So we have the complex unit disk, and I have a family which is a good family of K3 surfaces. I have the central fiber, and then I want to understand how is the central fiber. So the general fiber is a K3 surface, right? General fiber is a K3 surface, but then the central fiber is one of this type. Is either smooth, in which case we have a K3 surface here, right? Normal. Of type 2, this is a chain of elliptic ruled components with rational surfaces at each end, and a double cover are smooth elliptic curves. So whatever it says, this is saying me that the central fiber, in this case, if I look at the dual graph, is a line. Dual graph is a line with these characteristics. So these are rational curves, and the intersections are fibration of elliptic curves, and blah, blah, these properties. And then the third, we have a third possibility, which is a rational surface meeting a log rational curve with form cycles in each component. And if gamma is dual graph of x0, then the topological support of gamma is an homomorphism of the sphere. So the dual graph in this case is a triangulation of the spheres. And then if we have a good degeneration, then these are the only three possibilities of the central fiber. A good degeneration means a Kulikov model. In other words, I need that the trivial, I need that the canonical divisor is trivial, and that the reducible components of the central fiber to be algebraic.
Third one is not type 3.
This is type 3.
Type 3.
So could you repeat? So good means central fiber is going to the trivial.
So the type 3?
No, good.
So if I have a good regeneration of K3 surfaces, then I can say exactly how is the central fiber.
Yeah.
And we have only three possibilities.
Now what is the
What is the condition?
before the theorem.
Of good?
Yeah.
Good is that we have trivial canonical divisor of this object, and that the components elements of the central fiber have to be algebraic. They have to be algebraic. And then this is Kulikov shows that always when I have a semi-stable degeneration, I can do some modifications, some irrational modification in order to get a Kulikov model. So this is not bad. We have this. Okay. So it turns out that this is the geometric side of the story. So what about the cohomology side of the story? In the cohomology side of the story, we have the monodromy acting in the fibers, in the cohomology of the fibers, and then I can consider n equal to the log of the monodromy. Log of the monodromy, and then the Kulikov theorem is also telling me that I can distinguish these three types in terms of the monodromy. If the monodromy is 0, then we are in the smooth case. In the type 2, the monodromy is not 0, but n squared is equal to 0, and the type 3 is exactly that n squared is different from 0, but n to the power 3 is equal to 0. And then the monodromy is nilpotent of degree 3 maximum, so we have only these three possibilities, and that's it. So this is completely classified by the monodromy theorem.
So this is a model in which homology group?
In this case, it's in the regular Betti homology, of the special
for
fiber.
H3, H2, H4, which H, or in the whole
In the H2. So yes, for a K3 surface, the important homology is H2. Because I can draw the Hodge diamond like that. Right. So the important homology is the central one.
So can you represent the mixed Hodge structure of the limit fiber?
Sorry?
So this result can be written in terms of the mixed Hodge structure of the limit fiber? Or this
I don't know. I guess yes. We can say something at the limiting Hodge. Yes, because in fact the way to prove this is using the Clemens-Smith exact sequence, and then we relate the central fiber with the generic fibers. Okay. So I want to do this in pedic setting. So once again we are here in a pedic field. So an algebraic K-trace surfaces over a field in general is a smooth surface over K down the setting such that the irregularity is 0 and has trivial canonical divisor. Okay? This is equivalent in the complex case, is equivalent to the situation. And then I'm going to define a combinatorial K3 surface. It's a proper reduced surface with normal crossing, which is of the type 1, type 2, or type 3. Exactly. So Kulikov, this Kulikov classification is telling that the central fiber is a combinatorial of type 1, type 2, or type 3. Okay? But I can do this definition in general for any field. So then this is what I wrote here, definition of pedic field, residue field, and blah, blah, blah. So, okay? So this is... So a K3 surface over a pedic field is semi-stable or with semi-stable reduction if there is a semi-stable model. Once again, this model, the generic fiber is my K3 surface, but the special fiber is a surface over a finite field, in this case, and then this is locally a normal crossing device. Okay? Then it has good reduction if the central fiber is smooth. Okay. So this is the main theorem of one of the main theorems. If X is a semi-stable K3 surface over a pedic field with projective semi-stable reduction, where I need to be projected to the central fiber, then XK has good reduction if and only if the Étale cohomology is a crystalline GK representation. So we know that for K3 surfaces, we have also a criterion in terms of the cohomology, and we are saying that this is crystalline. If this is crystalline, then we know this is good reduction. And this other theorem is that if XK is a K3 surface for a pedic field with projective combinatorial reduction, so the reduction should be one of these three types, then we can distinguish the type of the reduction in terms of an operator that is defined in this object. This object is one of the object studies in pedic Hodge theory, Fontaine theory, DST of the tal cohomology. I'm going to say what is that, but just to let you to feel what is it. Here I have an operator that is called a monodromy operator. This is created by Kato, also defined in here. And then my theorem is that I can distinguish now type of my combinatorial K3 surfaces, but now in terms of this operator, exactly as in the Kulikov case. So if the monodromy is 0, then then it's of type 1. If the monodromy is not 0, the square is 0, then it's of type 2. And if the monodromy to the power 3 is equal to 0, but not to the power 2, then it's of type 3. And then we have this interesting result that x0 is of type 1 if and only if this monodromy is equal to 0. But in Peaty-Hodge theory, having the monodromy equal to 0, this operator equal to 0, recovers the crystalline situation. So this is if and only if the tal cohomology is a crystalline representation. So this is how we get the result on top here, right?
Who is PB and then?
This?
And then, sorry, PB, the reference.
Perez Buendi. M is Meda. Is Meda. His name is Genaro Hernandez Meda.
I'm not there.
Meda is. This is part of my PhD thesis. In fact, then I did it. Then 1 year later, I did it using transcendental methods, proving some.
The other one is 1-1-M.
Here?
The other third. First third.
This is Matsumoto. It's a Japanese guy, so Matsumoto. He proved it also for. This is the story like it. I prove it in my PhD thesis. Then 4 or 5 months later, this Matsumoto did give a proof of this only using Peaty-Hodge theory. And then 1 year later, Meda gave another proof, not using transcendental methods, using rigid geometry. So,
But they're all independent.
they are different. So somehow, of course, they are related because we use Peaty-Hodge theory and so, but the proof is different. So it's kind of different. So for instance, my proof goes construct a family, a one-parameter family, goes to the complex numbers, and then I use some Kulikov. Also the Clemens-Smith exact sequence in the complex case, and I go back to the Peaty case. And then Matsumoto uses Peaty-Hodge theory, and as I said, Meda proves it with a version of the Clemens-Smith exact sequence, but a version on rigid cohomology, only using rigid cohomology.
So you can lift the NFM to see. I mean, how do you use transcendental?
Yeah, I'm going to say something about that. Okay. Okay, this is the result that I just saw. This is the Kulikov result for the family. And then this is another theorem. So if X is a K3 surface over a Peaty field with projective combinatorial reduction model, then we can consider S the spectrum of W of T of the power series of coefficients in the big vectors. And then we can do with the natural logarithm structures because we're coming from the semi-stable reduction. And then we fix the uniformizer, which in fact for constructing these Fontaine fields we have to fix the uniformizer from before. So we fix the uniformizer. And then there exists a logarithmic deformation. This is a logarithmic deformation, like Cartan deformations. So this is a logarithmic deformation such that the base change, if I apply the morphisms from the W, so from the big vectors, T to all K, so setting T to the uniformizer, then recovers the semi-stable model. Okay? So this is the first thing. The second is that if we denote by 0 the point in S tensor K0, we are extending the scalar at K0. So this K0 is the fraction field of W of the big vectors, which is the maximal non-ramified extension of QP inside K. Okay? So the maximal non-ramified extension. Then this is of characteristic 0, because we are tensing with K0. Then we look at the maximal ideal, then we call 0 the point corresponding to the maximal ideal. Then the fiber is a combinatorial K3 surface for K0 of the same time of X0. So we managed to construct this variety. And for every point different from 0, then we have that the fiber of this family at this point is a smooth K3 surface, but over the residue field of this point. So which is also characteristic 0. So this family, once we tensor with K0, is a family of characteristic 0. So this is the important thing. And then, moreover, the type of the fiber at 0 is exactly of the same type of the central fiber, the special fiber, and using the log Gassman-In connection of the family, I can distinguish the 3 types in which it can be, because I get this log Gassman-In connection, and I can look at the residue at 0 of the log Gassman-In connection, and then this is like a monodromy operator, and then this works exactly the same as the family. And then we can distinguish.
What is W?
W is the big vectors. Okay. So it's the big vectors of the residue field.
Okay. This is not isomorphic to K another time?
Only if you are in the unramified case. If your finite extension is ramified, so this is totally ramified, this is unramified. If this is equal to this, is because you are in the unramified case. So this is not always. For instance, for example, if I take the bit vectors of a finite field, what we get is shipping, so the periodic numbers.
That term is for who? Who is that previous term? Is logs or yes?
This is for
No, the previous page.
yeah, the previous page. This
This term is who we know? Who has
yeah, this is my theorem.
How is your term?
Okay, so and what I'm saying is this result, or the way I prove it, is in a more general settings. In fact, if I have a family, or a class of surfaces in different characteristics or in different fields, such that satisfies this property that if X is a scheme over OK, such that the generic fiber is a smooth proper variety O, and the fibers are in the family, and we have that this is semi-stable, so the reduction is semi-stable. Then we can endow X0 with a natural log structures, and then if we have a global deformation to WT, so these are conditions. And then if there exists also a family of varieties over the complex disk, such that we can distinguish the central fiber in terms of the monodromy. So if we have exactly as in the Kulikov case, then I said that then I can prove also an analogous criterion for this. So not necessarily for K3 surfaces. In fact, I'm not using that this is a K3 surfaces. The only thing that I'm using that this is a K3 surface is that I have a Kulikov theorem. So if I have, for example, for Enrique surfaces, a theorem like that, I can also prove. In fact, I tried to do it for Enrique surfaces because we have also a classification, but it was not possible. I couldn't do it because I was trying to use the cohomology, the Etal cohomology, and this was not good. But Chiarellotto this year and Radu Lazda, they prove it for Calabi-Yau manifolds in general, defining not using the Etal cohomology, but using something that they call the homotopy. This is not an homotopy group. This is the homotopy of the family, which is also a periodic representation. They define it and they could prove it. Then this is what I said. If we can have a, and then this is the first. Ew. So I have here some explanation about what is the periodic Hodge theory side of this. So what's a periodic representation, what's a crystalline representation, and so on. So just to finish before we leave, a periodic representation is just what I said. It's a linear representation, continuous with absolute group, with of the Galo absolute group. the p-adic color representation can be classified in different subcategories. So I have all the p-adic representations, and then I have the Hodge-Tate representation, the RAM representation, the crystalline representation, the semi-stable representation, the potentially semi-stable representation. Then this is called p-adic Hodge theory because if I have a Hodge structure, say an R Hodge structure, this corresponds, say, to a Galois representation. If the Hodge structure, the one with tensor with C, have a decomposition, the analogous is to be a Hodge-Tate representation. So this corresponds to the RAM representation corresponds to this the RAM theorem. So there are the p-adic representations which have the RAM theorem. And then we have crystalline representation, which are the ones that I studied, determining when the special fiber is smooth, when we have good reduction, and so on. So we have certain properties which are analogous to the classical Hodge
The questions
What?
questions included in the topic.
Oh, yes.
Pero es que